Entitled Stepdaughter stole from me, so I made my husband choose. Her or me. From the day I moved into my husband's house, my stepdaughter despised me for no reason. A prime example was when I wouldn't give her $100 for the hair salon, so she literally went through my wallet and stole the money. A week after that happened, I told my husband I was done with him enabling her. I explained that she was 22, didn't pay rent, didn't work, and didn't even go to college. He interrupted to defend her, but I brought up the hair salon incident. Especially how, when he found out about it, he didn't even say anything to her. He went silent. That's when I gave him an ultimatum. Either she leaves the house, or we are getting a divorce. I can't kick my daughter out. I'm sorry, was his response. He walked out, and I genuinely could not believe it. I loved my husband so much, and truthfully, the ultimatum was not something I was ready to commit to just yet. I wanted to at least talk to him first about it, and so that's what I did. John and I had many arguments about it. He would say she was young and needed time to figure things out, but it was clear she wasn't even trying. Clara had always been spoiled. When I first met her, she was just 15, living with her mother. John and I had just started dating, and I really wanted to make a good impression. On our first meeting, she demanded a new iPhone from him because hers was so last year, and all of her friends had the newest iPhone. John laughed it off, but I could see the pattern then. She always got what she wanted. Her mother spoiled her, giving her everything without question. As the years went by, Clara's demands only grew. She expected everything to be handed to her on a silver platter. In high school, she refused to work a part-time job, insisting that studying was her job, but her grades didn't reflect that. She spent more time shopping and hanging out with friends than actually studying. Her mother and John always made excuses for her, saying she was finding herself. Fast forward to now, it seemed like she was comfortably settled into living off the backs of her father and me. The next few days after I gave the ultimatum were unbearable, to say the least. Clara found out about what I said, and the ultimatum I gave her dad. She slammed doors, made snide comments, and went out of her way to make life miserable for me. John tried to mediate, but it was clear he was struggling to keep the peace. After a hard day at work, I was greeted by loud music blaring from the living room. It was Clara's. I asked her politely if she could turn it down, but she didn't respond. She kept the volume obnoxiously high. I walked into the living room to find Clara sitting on the couch, surrounded by snacks and empty soda cans, scrolling on her phone. I asked her again if she could turn it down. She smirked and said she didn't hear me. Then she took her sweet time grabbing the remote and turning the volume down by just a notch. The music was still piercingly loud. I let it go and went to the kitchen to make dinner, only to find dirty dishes piled high in the sink and crumbs all over the countertops. I called Clara in and asked why she didn't clean up after herself. She lazily said she'd do it later. My patience was running thin. I reminded her that I asked her that morning to clean up before I got home. She rolled her eyes and told me that, if I weren't so uptight all the time, things would be easier around here. That was it. I blew up. I told her that this wasn't just about doing the dishes. It was about respect. She didn't care about anyone but herself. She screamed at me, calling me controlling, and saying that I thought I was so perfect. And then she said the words that truly broke me. Maybe that's why Dad doesn't really love you. She smirked. If he did, he would have chosen you over me when you gave him that ultimatum. But he didn't, because he gave his real love. That evening, when John got home, I immediately went up to him and handed him divorce papers. His eyes filled with tears. He begged me not to follow through. I told him that I had given him and Clara chance after chance, and the disrespect I faced today was my final straw. I told him that the only thing that could make me stay was him choosing me over Clara. When he realized I was serious, that he would lose me forever, he told Clara she had to leave. The conversation was tense. It looked like it hurt him to tell her. But just as I thought the nightmare was finally over, Clara refused to leave. She claimed she had nowhere to go. I stood my ground. I gave John 1 week to decide. The week was painful, and just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. John was caught in the middle, torn between his love for me and his responsibility to his daughter. Finally, John made his choice. He told Clara she had to leave. She stormed out, but before she left, she threatened us, saying that we would regret ever kicking her out. I felt a mixture of relief and guilt. But Clara leaving was only the beginning of the chaos. Within days, I started hearing rumors about John. Clara told everyone that he was having an affair with a coworker. The gossip reached me, and I confronted John. I asked him if it was true. He looked hurt that I would even ask. He reassured me that he would never do that to me, that it was all lies. He showed me his phone, and I saw that his messages with his coworker were strictly business. He even proved that, on the nights in question, he was with me the whole time. Even after he proved he was innocent, I felt the trust between us shatter. John told me that if I believed the lies, maybe our marriage wouldn't survive. His words cut deep, and I was left feeling more alone than ever. But I chose to stay with him. I hoped to rebuild our relationship. I loved John. But just a few weeks later, I came home to find Clara back in the house. John told me she promised to change, and that he couldn't turn her away. I felt even more betrayed. She had snaked her way back into our home, and I could tell she was trying to divide us so she could get her way. I didn't know how long I could survive, knowing that the cycle of her manipulation would never end. And then Clara did something even worse. She started spreading rumors about me. She told the entire neighborhood that I was stealing people's money orders out of their mailboxes. When I found out, my blood boiled. This girl had caused problems in my home and outside of it. I felt trapped, unsupported, and utterly defeated. That was it. I knew I had to leave. I proceeded with the divorce. My heart broke as I walked away from the life I had built with John. He watched our marriage fall apart. He was torn between his love for me and his duty as a father. But I was not about to get in the way of that. I left, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. Starting a new life was intimidating, but I knew it was the right choice. And as the months passed, Clara's grip on John finally began to crumble. But by then, it was too late. For him, not for me. I had moved on. I had built a new life, a better life, a life where I finally put myself first.